Good morning, good morning, good morning. I can tell on the live stream already I got to adjust the lights a little bit, but I'll get that in a minute. Good morning. Welcome to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Rafe Ellis, and I am the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. I want to welcome everybody who's joining us virtually on YouTube, Facebook, and Zoom, and welcome everybody here in the room. Good morning. So what's alive in you this morning? Gratefulness. What else? Is anybody awake? Hello.
How about friendship?
Friendship. Moisture. There we go. Everybody floated in this morning. Gratitude. Yeah, our weather is giving us a whole new opportunity to go with the flow. All right, so I'm going to invite you to just be in the energy of that and see where it takes you this morning. And so right now, I'm going to turn our service over to Love Eternal, our musicians this morning. Here we go.
Good morning, good morning. We're going to sing this song together, and the lyrics are there. So as soon as you grasp the melody, please join me, okay? I know it won't be long because you've heard this before, some of you. We are healing ourselves. Yeah. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. Nice. We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother. At this time we are assigned to align with the divine, to hold the conduit open for love to arise. So at this time we are assigned to align with the divine, to hold the conduit open for love to arise. So we are healing ourselves. We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother.
One more time.
Yeah. We are healing ourselves. We are healing each other. We are healing planet Earth, our mother.
And then this next one we've done as well, it's called Deep Within My Heart. And the lyrics are also right there.
To clarify, that last song was written by a wonderful artist called Jules Graves. And this one, we don't know. It's passed around fireside. So if you do, please step up. All right. Deep within my heart, I got this everlasting love shining, bright as the sun's gonna shine on everyone. And the more that we give is the more we have to give. It's the way that we live, and it's what we're living for, yeah, what we're living for. Deep within my heart, I got this everlasting love shining, bright as the sun's gonna shine on everyone. And the more that we give is the more we have to give. It's the way that we live, and it's what we're living for, yeah, what we're living for.
One more time.
Deep within my heart, I got this everlasting love shining, bright as the sun's gonna shine on everyone. And the more that we give is the more we have to give. It's the way that we live, and it's what we're living for, yeah, what we're living for, what we're living for.
Thank you, thank you. So this is where I get to remind us of who we are and what we're up to. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive, intra-faith community that celebrates the diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic, practical lives through a practical application of the spiritual principles. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, each other, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures, and we intentionally share our community and our teachings of science of mind and spirit. I was waiting to find out who I was going to invite up here, and since Valerie strolled in, now I know. I know how I can get away with surprising. So this is our candle lighting ritual, and we do this to demonstrate our inclusivity to interfaith inclusion. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all people, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way and path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through a practice of the universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. Thank you, Valerie. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Love Eternal for our next community song.
Oh, thanks, buddy. So this one is written by us. It's one of my more recent ones. And it doesn't have the second and the third verse up there, but one day, maybe. And yeah, please feel free to join me on any parts that you do.
Sorry, I had to adjust some stuff there.
Me too. Come to the music for my healing. Come to the music for my soul. Just like nature, so fulfilling. In the music, I am whole.
Oh, you sound beautiful.
Come home, come home, come home, come home. Yeah. Come home, come home, come home, come on home. Yeah. When I'm lost in the chaos of deep feeling, when I can hardly see, I feel the force of nature calling. She is calling out to me.
Come home.
Come home, come home, come home, come on home. Yeah. Come home, come home, come home, come on home. And from the center of my being, when I can truly see, I feel the nature of everything. Come singing right through me. Come home, come home, come home, come on home. Every moment, every day, yeah. Come home, come home, come home, come on home. Every moment, every day.
One more time.
Yeah. Come home, come home, come home, come on home. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whew. So we got some announcements. Before we get to the one that's on the slide, just want to remind us that our annual meeting is coming up, and to encourage folks to do some soul searching about running for the board, and I'm going to talk more about this in my talk this morning, but just want to spark the consciousness so there's an opening when I do talk about it. Prime the pump, if you will. And so that will be the 29th after our service. I believe we have it set up to start at noon. It will be hybrid, meaning that we will have folks in the room and online. What's really important is if you want to participate with the benefits of membership, as in voting, that you renew your membership so that we have that, so that we are operating in integrity with the bylaws that the membership established. So there's that. If you do want to run for the board, let me know and I will get you the board application. There is an application process. And by the bylaws, I need to announce the board slate next Sunday. So that means I have to get your application by the 14th so that I can announce it on the 15th. That's as loose as I can be with the deadlines. So there's that. Okay, our groups have changed just a little bit. I'm not sure where we went there. There we go. If it gets to the wrong camera, Juanita, just on the keypad, 1 or 2, we'll switch it. Because we came in this morning and our whole live stream setup that was all done ahead of time was gone. Apparently, nature washed it away somehow. But it's all reset somewhat. So our Manifestation Mastery Group is happening on Tuesdays, and we standardized the time for the day group and the evening group. So noon to 1 is the daytime, and 5:30 to 6:30 is still the evening time. And you're welcome to attend that. We're doing a little different format. We started with some actual study material, and then we're going to explore that for the whole month. And so don't worry if you weren't here last week. You can still get caught up. It's not a complicated process until we get involved in it, and then we seem to be able to complicate it quite effortlessly. Okay. Thursday, we moved the Science of Mind study group to Thursday because I wanted to do 2 sessions, and there was no way I could do an evening session on Wednesdays because the Peace Choir rehearses in here on Wednesdays, and that would just be really challenging to have a discussion group while we're rehearsing a choir all at the same time. Our space is just not that big. So it's the same times, noon to 1 and 5:30 to 6:30, and we are studying the 1926, the original version of the Science of Mind, A Philosophy of Faith, A Way of Life. And it's quite interesting to be reading the simplicity and the engagement of his. Juanita, can you hit 1 or 2 on the keypads, because there's no camera there. There you go. Again, no idea why, but see, now those of you looking at me don't know that necessarily I have a monitor back there so I can actually see what the live stream folks are seeing, and I can tell if my hair's sticking up funny, or I do have some of you here that tell me if my collar's sticking up funny. I depend on that. Okay. I think that's it for the announcements. And now we're going to shift to our time of inward shift. Our community value, for those of you, because we do have some folks that haven't been here before, what we do is we have 7 community values, and every week we focus on one, just through a rotation, so that we're constantly looking at them in different and new ways. And this morning, our community value is authenticity. And it's interesting to me that so much of our human language vilifies and condemns our ego. And Ernest Holmes defines our ego as our inner being, our true self, our authentic self. And I know the first time I read that in the glossary, I'm like, what did he say? And it took me a few times through, and it put me on a journey of aligning my brain with the idea of my human self, my ego self, is my most perfect inner self, that they are one and the same. And so I invite you to take that idea into our meditation time together. To what would your experience be if you really embraced your human expression as your perfect spiritual self, no matter what name you put on it? So we're going to go into a meditation, and then I will bring us out with our opening affirmative prayer, also known as spiritual mind treatment, and then we will do our affirmation together. one substance, one source, one life, one mind, one love, one peace, one power, one presence, creating out of itself, to know itself, to experience itself, to expand itself in, through, and as its creation. By whatever name I know it, I know that it is whole, perfect, and complete within itself, everywhere present. And so I know, being here in form, being created out of it, by it, to be it, I must be all that it is, empowered to create just as it creates, accessing the mind that is its mind as my mind. And I know that what is true of me is true of all life, every exquisite, individualized expression of this one magnificence, fully infused with all that it is, made out of it, by it, to be it. And so I speak my word, claiming and affirming that we are manifesting that truth, that we are revealing the consciousness, the wholeness, the perfection, the completeness, that we each are individualized in form, that we are revealing the truth that we are never separate, that there is no other, and that every thought, every action is an action, is a thought, is a becoming of the whole. I speak my word, claiming and affirming that all are awakening to this truth of being, each in their own time, each in their own way, each perfect, divinely guided. I speak a word of gratitude for every heart, for every hand, for every thought that has ever been a part of the creation of Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, beyond time and space, beyond the years, the cumulative oneness, the cumulative creative thought that is this day manifesting and continuing to grow and flourish and express itself as Sierra Center. I speak a word of gratitude for all that have ever and are now in service to this community, as this community. I speak a word of gratitude for everyone who has ever been present in the room, who has ever tuned into a live stream at whatever time and place, knowing that all of this is the energy and the revelation, the manifestation of the infinite as Sierra Center. Grateful, grateful, grateful. And so I simply release my word, knowing that the word spoken is the word made manifest. It is already done. There is no waiting period. And so we can simply step into an experience of the truth. And I invite you to join me as we anchor this together by saying, and so it is. So this is our time of affirmation, and I will read it through once. I invite you to just take it in, to do different forms of it, and then we will say it together. As God is, I am, we are. Let's say that together. As God is, I am, we are, and so it is.
it's great to be back here with you guys.
We made it. The weather let it be that we could get up the hill to see you guys today. Woo.
We're gonna do a song called Take You In. What if we broke down and called this world heaven? Could we leave our stories behind? What if we treated this earth like the Garden of Eden? The tree of life is calling me, bearing fruits are ripe. I will take you in to my prayers at least. If there's no place in my home, I will bless your way. I will pray for you. Wherever you may roam, you are my brother. You are my sister. You are a child of God, whether you know it or not. You shine as brightly as the sun. My Father loves you. Your Father loves me too. Let us dwell in the house that He has built. Third planet from the sun. I call it heaven. I call it heaven. Let us dwell here. Let us dwell here. And I thank you for believing. I will take you in. I will pray for you. I will bless you. I will pray for you. I will take you in, and to my prayers at least. If there's no place in my home, I will bless your way. I will pray for you. Wherever you may roam, you are my brother. You are my sister. You are a child of God, whether you know it or not. You shine as brightly as the sun. My Father loves you. Your Father loves me too. Let us dwell in this house that He has built. Third planet from the sun. I call it heaven. I call it heaven. Let us dwell here. Let us dwell here. And I thank you for believing.
Let's take a breath together. Can we go back one camera slide? There we go, that'll do. So our talk title this morning, I had just flown out my head. I don't even know what it is at the moment. What is it, Juanita? There it is. Snuck up behind me. In this thing of oneness, think about the word universe. Universe. One verse. And perhaps in the oneness of creation, there's one voice singing one verse, and yet we're all hearing it very differently. Right? Now, when I was putting this together, that took me to the comical experience that many of us have with secular songs. Particularly, for some reason, Neil Diamond songs seem to really get a lot of this. I'm pretty sure the lyrics are "Turn on your heart light," but I've often heard it sung at the top of people's lungs, "Turn on your headlights." So we're hearing the same thing, but not. It's an interesting phenomenon that happens. I can tell you, oftentimes people will say to me after Sunday service, "I'm so glad you said blah, blah, blah. That's exactly what I needed to hear." And I'm like, pretty sure I didn't say that inside my head. And then I go back and watch the recording, and sure enough, didn't come out of here, but that's what they heard. And what they heard was exactly what they needed to hear, the universal voice. And so I think, we can get hung up mentally because we talk so much about the word, right? And more accurately, it's my word, capital M, capital W, referring to the word of the infinite, not the words we use in English language. And the word that is creative is the belief that is operating back of the words that come out of our mouth. And I can tell you this from having been a deputy, 100 people can witness the exact same event. And when you get witness statements and you look at them in totality, it's like none of them were at the same spot. None of them witnessed the same thing. They're all very different recollections of the exact same physical occurrence. And so this notion that we might all have the same understanding of a word, it almost lends itself to a good comedy routine. And there's a whole script for it called a dictionary, right? Because you can look up words in the dictionary, and some words have 30 meanings. And isn't it interesting when we speak to one another how easily we slip into assuming that the listener knows exactly what I mean? Because we might have a little bit of human self-centeredness sometimes. Kind of, sort of, maybe. Maybe it's just me. And then it gets interestinger. That's a Southern word. That's a real word in the South. Life gets interestinger and interestinger. When we ask people, when we admit, "I'm not sure what you mean by that, would you clarify that for me? Would you share with me what you mean by that word?" How defended we get when someone cares enough to ask us what we actually mean. How many of us hear it as an attack rather than a simple inquiry of curiosity because they actually want to know what you mean? I've told this story before, and Deborah knows I tell it, so it's fine. The first time she told me she loved me, it's supposed to be that magical moment. And I kind of blew it in human terms because I looked at her eye to eye and I said, "I have no idea what that means." Now, I know in the fairy tales and in the movie scripts, my role was to say, "I love you too," and just move on in complete assumption. But I got to tell you, the way I grew up, "I love you" meant some pretty ugly things. Because people that said they loved me didn't treat me lovingly. And so when I heard that, it's like, what does that mean to you? I need to know. And we navigated through it. Obviously, we've been married for quite a few years. But if we leaned into that perhaps we're leaning into a different experience of our internal voice. I learned something this past week. I have, for years, interpreted internal conflict as resistance. And what I learned this week is that most of my resistance is actually desire. But it's a different desire. It's a desire of human thought, because our humanity has its own desires that may differ from our spiritual desires. Because we have this organ that lives between our ears called a brain. Now, I want to be really clear. I love my brain. I love it. It's an amazing organ, and it has limitations. Because just like my computer has a hard drive, my body has a hard drive, and it's called my brain. And the only thing that it can draw from is past information. I want you to get that. The brain only knows what has already happened. And so when something spiritually new is calling us, the brain goes into its cycle of searching for information to make it make sense. And when the spiritual calling is new and the brain doesn't have any information, it creates a bit of a conundrum in our human experience. Because now I either have to go backwards to satisfy my brain and find comfort, or I have to step forward into a spirituality that makes my brain uncomfortable. Interestingly enough, because I don't know how the man did it, but Ernest Holmes pretty much addresses everything. It just blows my mind. He talks about the conflict of desire, and this is actually in the 1926 version. When an emotion conflicts with the will and becomes suppressed, it returns to its subjective state, but remains active. It will come up in some other form. It will not be put down. It may remain in a subjective state for years, but eventually, unless neutralized, it will manifest. Let one go for years with some unexpressed longing, and they will have created such a desire that it will have become irresistible to its inclination towards expression. People often become seething cauldrons within because of inhibited action. Energy must find an outlet. Sometimes the calling of our soul collides with our human stuff. It just does. Never in my wildest dreams when I was in active addiction did I ever imagine this moment. Right? When I was busy filling my veins with heroin, ministry wasn't part of that. Right? It wasn't a part of the brain, but it was always known in my heart. I came out of the womb knowing I was a minister. Before I even had language, rumor has it, because before I even had memory, right? I was raised in the church, several different churches. But rumor has it, we go to church, we come home, and pre-verbal, I would line up all the stuffed animals when we got home and preach whatever I thought I heard on Sunday morning. And that continued throughout my childhood. I do have memories of it when I was 5, 6, and 7, but apparently it happened when it was just like, right? Something inside of me knew who I was before I was in this form. And that doesn't change. But what does change is the form and the function of that. Before I came here, I didn't even know Sierra Center existed, quite honestly. Didn't even know Grass Valley existed. and I lived right down the hill in Santa Rosa, and I had no idea Grass Valley was here. Certainly didn't know that the technology, the camera switching technology that all of the entertainment industry uses was created here. Who knew, right? But it was. We use it on our live stream. That's how Juanita can just hit 1 or 2 and change the cameras. Thank you, Grass Valley Group. They created that. This is a long, convoluted way to get to maybe the most difficult. You know, they say that Mother's Day and tithing are the most difficult talks you ever give. I think they're inaccurate. When something, and I want to use this to give you a gift to take with you. When something is alive in you that is bigger than you, that scares the bejabbers out of the human you, trust it. Now I know your brain just said, what did he say? Because the brain will argue. It will give you a litany of reasons, evidence-based reasons from the past about why it can't be in the now or in the future. It will tell you that. That's its job. And sometimes that's actually a good thing, right? We've watched on the news people who didn't listen to that brilliant repository of information, who chose to drive through water, and several of them have drowned. So sometimes that information from the past is a good thing. And sometimes it just needs to be a thing that we acknowledge and then we move beyond it. It's interesting, we've got more people in this room this morning than we've had in quite some time. And I'm sitting over here knowing what is alive in me to say this morning. And for a moment, I needed a God outside of myself so I could say, really? Really? Now? Really? And right behind it came, it ain't about that. It ain't about what's in the room. It's about what's in you. And I know that. And I want you to know that. I have fought with myself at different levels for a while now. And it's not about, I want to be really judicious and as Don Miguel Ruiz says, impeccable with the words that I use. It's not about something better. It's not about something worse. It's not about something more. It's not about something less. It's about something different. There's something in me that is birthing itself, and I wish I could tell you exactly what it is, but I don't know. And that's the scary part in this human realm. And the argument with my beloved brain has been intense. And spiritually, what I know the most correct thing to do is to walk my talk. it would be so easy to ignore everything going on in me. So easy. That would be the simple thing. But what I know is that I am complete here at Sierra Center. And I don't want that to be what I know. I don't. And yet it is. My brain has been doing the, for 64 years, it's been pretty clear that it's a good idea to have another job before you let go of the one you have. Have you looked at your bank account, dude? Hello. Because that's the scary part, because I don't have a definite anything. And yet, spiritually, I am a definite everything. And that's the space that I'm challenging my own humanity to step into. I will be here actively 100% engaged, just like I always have through the end of February. Those of you that are in the room that are new, I'm not this center. Whatever called you here this morning was here before I got here. As the minister, it'll be here when I'm gone. I'm not this center. This center is a divine idea in the mind of the infinite, and that's what you came here for. So please come back for more of that. Everybody that has ever been here, I do want to share this with you. I invite you to envision Sierra Center as bigger than you've ever imagined it. Not bigger in size, not bigger in people, but bigger in what it is as a spiritual community. That perhaps spiritual community can be a safe harbor. That the light of this community can actually function like a lighthouse. And so vessels that are in tumultuous waters can spot a safe harbor where they can come in and dock, where they can get healed, where they can get nourishment, where they can get companionship, where they can grow themselves, where their ship can be refurbished, and when they're ready to go back out to sea, they go back out to sea. That we allow spiritual community to be beyond a country club mentality, that we let it be beyond a social club, and that door is the portal by which the divine comes and goes and loves itself, and anybody and everybody that walks through that door is met with the heart of the infinite that beats within you. No matter what they look like, no matter what they smell like, no matter how much money they have or don't have, that this community empowers itself to see the divine coming through that door over and over again, individualized. And when people walk out the door, you know that the divine is moving on to its next greatest expression, wherever that is, even on a Sunday morning. Every one of you walked in here, and every one of us will walk out of here different. That's the beauty of every moment. None of us is exactly the same any 2 moments. I invite you to embrace that, to celebrate that, to allow yourself to be conscious of that, to be aware of that, to let every moment in life manifest. What does manifest mean? To reveal the truth of you, moment by moment by moment. And if that happens, that door won't be big enough. And this center won't be big enough. Let that happen. Don't make it happen. Don't force it. Let it happen. And so we are coming up on our annual membership meeting. And if you've been on the fence about your membership, now's the time to get off the fence. If you've been on the fence about leadership, now's the time to get off the fence. If you want to be a part of where this goes, get off the shore and get in the boat. Right? It's that whole story, and I'll close with this. This just popped into my mind. There's an aerial circus guy doing a routine where he has a wheelbarrow and a tightrope. And he's getting ready to walk his wheelbarrow across the tightrope, and then he stops and he turns around to the audience and he says, "Who believes I can do this? Who believes I can successfully take this wheelbarrow across this tightrope?" And people raise their hands, clap for him, and he's okay. He gets his nerve up and he starts off, and then he stops and he says, "Who really believes I'm going to do this and do it successfully?" One person raised their hand. And he started back and he turned back around and he said, "You really believe that?" And the person said, "Yeah." And he said, "Get in the wheelbarrow." If you really believe it, get in the wheelbarrow. Get out of the audience. Get in the wheelbarrow. This is your center. Own it. Let's take this into prayer. There is only one magnificent, one allness that speaks to its creation in a voice that it recognizes, undeniably recognizes, exquisitely individualized, to reveal the truth of being that each came here to be. And so I speak my words celebrating that. Celebrating the dance between the human and the spiritual. Embracing the whole messy journey. And knowing that it is all love, all consciousness, all the time. And so I know that that is the activity of this center. I know that is the activity of everyone in this center. I know that is the activity of Grass Valley, of Nevada City, of Nevada County, because it is the activity of humanity itself. The infinite revealing itself in, through, and as its creation. I feel that resonance within every fiber of my being, and so I can celebrate. I can let it go with an amazing hallelujah and know in every fiber of my being that all is well, always has been, is now, can only ever be. All is well. And I invite you to affirm this, to claim it, to own it as your own. As we say together, and so it is. I love you so freaking much. Whew. Hold it together, dude. This is one of those laughter moments because my socialized brain just said, "Man up," and I said, "Shut up." What does that even mean? So this is our time of conscious giving. Let's say our giving affirmation together. I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Please receive the gifts.
I kept hearing one of my favorite Rumi quotes while you were speaking. All this singing, one song. You could never leave the one song, friend.
Indeed. Well, we were at CSL San Jose when David Bruner announced that he was going to be stepping down. And it was a surprise to us as well, and everybody else. And we sang this song, so I felt like it would be fitting. Just like the farmer plants the seeds, then waits for the fruit so patiently. We are on our way, we are on our way. We are on our way, we are on our way. Just like the song that's never been sung, or a great act of kindness that's yet to be done. We are on our way, we are on our way. We are on our way, we are on our way. Come an evolution. Awaken my child to this revolution. I embrace the change, heart, soul, and mind. What was once caterpillar, now a butterfly. Must release the past to learn how to fly. We are all learning how to fly. Greater than our wildest dreams. Life is so much more than it seems. We will all now open our eyes and learn to see for the first time the revolution. I embrace the goodness of my life, and I let it be. I embrace your joy in my life, and I let it be. I embrace prosperity in my life, and I let it be. I embrace this life. Cause the revolution, just like the farmer plants the seed, then waits for the fruit so patiently. We are on our way, we are on our way. We are on our way, we are on our way. Come awaken.
So we speak a word of blessing, a word of gratitude for the infinite as money, knowing that we each give through Sierra Center to sustain and grow the center and all that do good work in the world. We give and we give and we give, because that's how circulation works. And so it is. It's a good thing I write things down. Thank you, Judy, for doing our PowerPoint this morning. Thank you, Juanita, for being on our live stream this morning. Thank you, Jared and Shauna, a.k.a. Love Eternal. You stole my heart the first time I met you. Yeah. It's more than the music. It's who you be. Thank you. Thank you, Valerie, for firing us up with our candles this morning. And thank you for being here. And thank you for being here, all of you who I cannot see. We do have a workshop scheduled if anyone was planning to stay, and if not, you're more than welcome to hang out. I am happy to answer any questions that you have, and sometimes they will be answered with none of your business, because people ask ministers bizarre questions. So let me just caveat that. If you ask me questions about my body, that's none of your business. And I've been asked those. It's really bizarre. But that's a whole nother talk. And I just want to be really clear. We're beginning to explore options, but I really, I don't know what we're doing. I don't have a definite anything. And therein lies the wrestling match. So, there's that. Part of me is even afraid to ask this question, but I'm going to follow my own script. So, what gift are you taking with you today?
Friendship.
Friendship. Trust. Hope. All is well. Excellent. Acceptance. Joy. For those of you online, I quote, you in a knapsack. Okay. You might, I know how much my scale tips, so you might want a couple of folks to carry that. Wheelbarrow, yeah. You might want that wheelbarrow right about now. Oh, goodness. It's good to laugh. It is. Let's stand and do our benediction together, shall we? And I invite you to really let this in. Say this like you mean it. Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called life.
It is this thing called change.
It is this thing called change.
It is this thing called peace.
It is this thing called peace.
I know it. I feel it. I sense it. Because I am it. And so it is.
Well, let's do Feeling Better. I think that's the best ending song here, and it's a great affirmation, and most of you know it.
And you sound so good.